Oh, boy. Welcome into the show, everybody. Appreciate you waiting for me for the live audience, for the people on the podcast. Thanks anyway. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show. It's nice to have you along. Very upset about the Phillies. Very upset. Not feeling so great right now about the Phillies. I still feel like they're going to be that playoff team that we talked about so many times. Not feeling great. Not feeling great about the potential of actually hosting playoff games. That would be the wild card round, like opening up at home in the wild card. I know after the game, Rob Thompson talked about a couple of things. We'll let you hear one of them, including why JT Realmuto didn't bunt in the ninth inning with the runner on first and second and nobody out. Instead, he struck out on 3 pitches. But we'll get to that conversation. We'll also get to the conversation about Nick Castellanos swinging at that first pitch again in that at bat in the ninth inning that helped the Phillies blow it despite heroics. It's the fourth time in the last 2 weeks where the Phillies have come back and tied the game and then blew it later, where the comeback didn't necessarily fail, but it certainly wasn't enough. It was I would have used the word failed. That doesn't describe it enough. Because it's like they come back and you came back and instead of tying it, you came back and you're down 1 run or something like that. That's what it felt like. But this is actually, they did come back. They tied it. It was a comeback spoiled. That's the better way to put it, I feel, for this game. So we'll get into that conversation. We'll get into your coordinators who spoke yesterday. We'll get into Jalen Hurts. Look, there is nothing the Eagles can tell me that will convince me that they were shaking off the rust, especially on the offensive side of things against the Patriots in week 1. And now hopefully that rust is off, and tomorrow they kick off against the Minnesota Vikings. I got high hopes for this Minnesota Vikings game. Originally, I thought of the short week, it wasn't going to feel so good. It wasn't going to be a good one. You're going to feel pretty bad. But I think the Eagles have the Vikings number. And above all else, a more tangible thing to really look at is I think Jalen Carter is going to blow up that offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings. I saw when I was watching the interviews or the press conferences yesterday with the coordinators and Jalen Hurts, who addressed the media. One of the first things that jumped out to me was the comment. I couldn't help but see it. I'm watching Sean Desai, and I really hope this doesn't become a narrative for Sean Desai because I just don't think it's deserved. And plus, the one game we saw him actually call plays, you actually saw blitzing. But the first comment under the Eagles videos yesterday was, I really hope Sean Desai blitzes against the Vikings because they're going to need it. And I'm like, on what planet are some people living? First of all, if there's a team you don't want to blitz against, it's Kirk Cousins and it's the Vikings because they can kind of beat you with the arm and you can get rid of the ball quickly and all that. I'd rather have guys back in coverage. And secondly, you don't need to. Their offensive line is porous. And Jalen Carter, if he can do what he did against the Vikings or do what he did against the Patriots, he can certainly do it against the Vikings with greater success. So I don't have a concern or a desire for a lot of blitzing coming up against the Minnesota Vikings. So we'll get into that conversation. Let's start it off. Oh, and Jalen Hurts insists, yes, there was no rust. There was no get used to playing football again, period. Or as Nick Sirianni put it, there was no rut. They were in a rut, and they couldn't necessarily find themselves out of it. We'll get into all that and more on today's program. Let's start it off with the Phillies because that was, to say the least, a bit of a rough one yesterday. You did everything you were supposed to do. Other than Zach Wheeler starting the Phillies out by allowing 6 runs, Nick Castellanos started things out swinging at the first pitch. Go figure. Nobody had a problem with that. And he belted one out of the ballpark for a home run to give the Phillies a 1-0 lead. Then, unfortunately, things started to unravel for Zach Wheeler. What did we say yesterday? And I blame myself because I'm the one that said, since July 30th? Something like that? July 2nd, excuse me. Zach Wheeler had not gone less than 6 innings in a start. Zach Wheeler had not gone less than 6 innings in a start. Yesterday, 5 innings. You're welcome. 6 runs. 6 runs. Good God, man. Of all the times the Phillies needed him to step up and be an ace this season, this would have been a pretty good. That would have been good. That would have been nice. That would have been nice to see Zach Wheeler go up there yesterday and actually shut down the Braves. And I'm not, hey, 2 runs, 3 runs, something that helps this offense try to win a baseball game. 6 runs, knowing that at some point your bullpen's going to get got. And they did. Not terribly, but they did. That's not going to be a good enough outing. And look, the Phillies came back. They fought again. And in this game, they did what they've been doing. And after the game, Rob Thompson said that this team just kept on fighting. And when he was asked about coming back from the 3 or more runs down and tying the game and then losing it in extras, he said, yeah, I'm not worried because my team keeps fighting. Okay, that's good. That's good that they keep fighting. It's good that they keep doing what they're supposed to do. Then how about the other thing where they win? How about where they complete the comeback all the way and then slam dunk exclamation point? You had an opportunity for the slam dunk exclamation point there in the 9th inning. Let's go through it. Trey Turner. I said this last night on the Fighters postgame show, and I'll say it again. Trey Turner's at bat in the 9th inning was cinematic. It's probably the best word to use to describe it. It was cinematic. If you were trying to sell somebody on baseball, you make that person watch that at bat. Right before the home run, they get the close-up of Trey Turner. You see him go, takes that deep breath, lets out that agita, lets out that anxiety, and then, boom, home run, tie the game, 6-6. You're starting the inning, coming back to tie the game. Alec Boehm gets a single. Bryce Harper gets a single. Now, let me pause it right there. My first thought was that Alec Boehm was going to third. When I saw Bryce Harper hit that ball into right field, and that hit the ground, the minute it hit the ground, I was like, oh, that's just dying. I was like, Alec Boehm's going to get to third. And then I remember that Alec Boehm was not exactly fleet of foot. And then I remember that Ronald Acuna's got a pretty decent arm. He wasn't making it to third. So Dusty Watson did the right thing and holding him at second base. So, not the worst of it. First and second, nobody out. Tie ball game, bottom of the 9th inning. JT Realmuto steps to the plate. JT Realmuto not having the best year, especially not having the best year at Citizens Bank Park. This is where things get really dicey. Does not attempt to bunt, and instead he strikes out on 3 pitches. Now, it didn't even cross my brain for JT Realmuto to bunt in that situation. Nobody bunts. Who? What? How? Why? No. Nobody bunts. The only person that bunts, and it's almost what made sense, Garrett Stubbs pinch hit for JT Realmuto to drop down a bunt. That's the only thing. And no, he's not doing that. That's not happening. There's probably a greater likelihood of Garrett Stubbs pinch hitting for JT Realmuto to try to drop down a bunt than JT Realmuto trying to drop down a bunt. And when they asked the manager about it after the game, we'll get to it because it is golden, Rob Thompson laughed at it. Like, what do you say? Really? All right, maybe that's overselling it. But he acted like it was ridiculous, that he wasn't going to ask him a bunt. So I didn't even think of asking JT Realmuto to bunt simply because I've never seen JT Realmuto bunt. I've never seen him attempt a bunt. I've seen Kyle Schwarber attempt bunts, and it drives me crazy. Bryson Stott tried to attempt a bunt. Garrett Stubbs obviously has bunted. I can't remember any time as a Philly where JT Realmuto tried to drop down a bunt. And I certainly can't remember one where he did it successfully. So bunting there, I thought was just an impossibility. Now, if you want to argue the great big old book of baseball, you're right. If you look it up and under bunting and sack bunting, that's definitely a situation to do it. You're right. But then you got to insert the personnel. If you're a person that says analytics are stupid, they don't have a place in the game, well, then you can't be also a person that looks at it and goes, oh, let's make this guy bunt that never bunts, because the right thing to do there was bunt. But it's a person individually, where sometimes you can throw analytics away, and a person individually that just never done it. So I did not think of JT Realmuto bunting because I didn't think it was an option for him. However, I also didn't think of him striking out on 3 pitches. I thought maybe a productive out or, sacrifice, an unwilling sacrifice, but sacrifice. So JT Realmuto goes up there and strikes out on 3 pitches. All right, no problem. Run on first and second. 1 out. Nick Castellanos finding his groove again. Got a home run already in the ball game. And I gotta go the other way with some people here on this one too. Swinging at the first pitch. Didn't have a problem with it. His home run earlier in the game came on the first pitch. Like 8 of his home runs, 9 of his home runs this season have come on the first pitch. He was thinking fastball. He got a fastball, and he missed it. Here's my bigger issue with Nick Castellanos. Nick Castellanos hits that ground ball to third. They bobble it a little. They double clutch is probably the better way to put it. They double clutch, throw to second, and then there's this looping throw, this long, arduous process of digging the ball out of the mid and throwing it to first. And then by the time they go to first base, when the ball was at second, I was thinking, at least they're not going to turn 2. And then I saw them trying to dig the ball out of, I saw Albies trying to dig the ball out of his mitt. And I went, oh, they're definitely not going to turn 2. And then when they pan to first base, Nick Castellanos is 3 feet from the bag. It's not even close. He's out by a mile. And I just thought, good God, that man is slow. And then somebody was like, was he even running hard? And I'm like, you know what? I really hope that he would run hard out of the box, because even if it's a perfectly executed around the horn double play, a 5-4-3 double play, it could still be close. Something could go wrong. You would still bust it down the line and try to beat that out. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt there, but damn, is he slow. Damn, is he super ridiculously slow. So he gets thrown out, and that was the end. And a guy, Chet, who likes to hit me up on the old interweb, said, do you feel they're going to win it? And I said, when Bryce Harper was at the plate in the 9th inning, I said, they either win it here or they lose in extras. Because that's what they've done 3 previous times. That's what they've done. And I feel like once you have that magic and you don't go over, once you rally to tie it and come back and all that, and you don't take the lead, you lose. I feel like that's the way it goes down in all sports. That's the way it feels, especially basketball. See teams have a late run, and they come back to 1 point within the game or even tie it, and then the other team goes on a run again. I'm like, that's cute, and they win. Anyway, that's how it felt yesterday watching the Phillies. And it really sucks because it spoiled. Bryce Harper gets his 1,500 hit in dramatic fashion, a home run, because he knows no other way. And that, too, was a first pitch home run. 430 feet to right center field, made it a 6-3 ball game. And then Bryson Stott. The man can just hit. In his at-bat, he tried to lay down a bunt. He came back and he hit a 2-run home run, made it a 6-5 ball game in the 8th inning, and then Turner tied things up in the 6th. As for Zach Wheeler's night, good God, man. Matt Olson did a home run off him, his 51st of the season. He just got enough of it. 367 feet, left field wall. That was that. Ozuna hit a home run off him. In the 4th inning, he struck out Marcelo Ozuna on a high sinker inside. Then, unfortunately, in the 5th inning, his last inning of work, he gave up the 2-run home run to Acuna, a curveball that, man, it just hung. It just hung middle of the plate. And it was one of those things where you watch it leave the pitcher's hand, and then it's like it freezes in your mind. And I remember Acuna just kind of doing that little hop and then crush. And I was like, that ball is a baseball. That ball is a meatball. That ball is a beach ball-sized meatball. And he demolished it off the facing of the upper deck in left field. So that sucked. And then Ozuna comes up again in the 5th inning, gets that same pitch with 2 runners on, the same pitch that Zach Wheeler struck him out with in the 4th inning. Ozuna came back in the very next inning, and he tattooed it out of the park for a 3-run home run. Phillies went down 6-1. They did fight. They did come back. They did make it interesting, obviously. 6th inning, they had another opportunity. Back-to-back walks by Tonkin to lead off the 6th inning. 1st and 2nd, no outs. Sound familiar? And then, unfortunately, JT Realmuto popped out to second. Nick Castellanos lined out to right, and Bryson Stott pinch hit in that situation for Edmundo Sosa and lined out to left field. Bit of a rough one. In extra innings, Craig Kimbrell comes in the 10th inning, try to handle that business, and unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. Here's where we're at in the wild card standing. Everybody lost, so nothing changes in that regard. Phillies are still a game and a half up on the Cubs. Cubs lost yesterday. Diamondbacks, same thing. They're a game up now on the Reds. Giants, a game and a half, and Marlins, game and a half out of the third wild card spot. That's where we're at right now with this Phillies team. If you're looking for any reason to be optimistic, okay, well, one is that they could split. They could win today. Well, that'd be fun. Huh? Yeah, they could. But here you go. Phillies last year. Remember that time they went to the World Series? That was fun. Phillies last year in September, they were 11-14. The only time they've been over 500, I believe it was 2017, and Pete Mackanin was the manager of this Phillies ball club. So Pete Mackanin is the last manager, and I know I've told you this before. Pete Mackanin is the last Phillies manager to have a over 500 record in the month of September. Yes, even last year, sub 500, they were 11-14. This year, they're right on par. They're 5-7 now in the month of September. That's fun. Also, last year, they finished the season. The Phillies finished the season going 4-8. Yeah, that's right. They only won 4 of their last 12 games. They also had a 5-game losing streak. In part, it was against the Braves from September 25th to September 29th. And yet, somehow, magically, they still made the playoffs. And even more magical after that, you know what the Phillies did? The Phillies made the postseason, winning the final wild card spot. The Phillies won that first wild card game against the Cardinals. And then the Phillies, I'll fast forward to the end, they lost the World Series. They made it to the World Series. So there have been plenty of struggles along the way for the Phillies, especially last year. And somehow, like this year, they overcame. And they're going to overcome this year, damn it, whether they like it or not. All right. Rob Thompson, after the game, on JT Realmuto in that 9th inning, and the Phillies just coming up short.
Lately we haven't been hitting with runners in scoring position. We're scoring a lot of runs by the home run, but that'll change.
Is there any consideration at all having JT square and bunt there?
No.
Who he is? Or?
Well, I'm not sure if he's ever bunted before, to tell you the truth. So you don't ask somebody to do something that they can't do.
I hate to say this because I want to, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go by the book. I want to do what the book says do, which is drop down a bunt in that situation. So now my problem becomes, why the hell can't JT Realmuto bunt? Like, at all? Like, what about the situation where you're going through horrendous slumps? Like JT Realmuto isn't home. It's not even a slump anymore. It's just a really crappy season for JT Realmuto, especially at home. The little bunt. That's all we're asking for. And in this particular situation, that would have been extremely helpful for the Phils. So that's bad coaching. That's bad managing. That's just bad everything. JT Realmuto. Here are the only Phillies that have grabbed bats this year at home for the Phils that are hitting worse than JT Realmuto. Rodolfo Castro is hitting .056. Drew Ellis, .077. Derek Hall, and even 100. And Josh Harrison, in 17 at-bats at Citizens Bank Park this year, he's hitting 171. JT Realmuto is at 192. Everyone else, including Dalton Guthrie, Jake Cave, Garrett Stubbs, Everybody else, and then the rest of the team, everyone is hitting better than JT Realmuto at home. That is horrifying. And it's not like you're going to tell JT in between innings when he doesn't have it at bat. Hey, go get in the cage and try to bunt a little bit. It's something. It's a baseball. You're a baseball player. Here's my other thing with JT Realmuto. The guy is a ball player. The guy's an athlete. Football player, baseball player. If you know his background, was a state championship as a football player. The guy's an athlete. I know that you can drop down a bunt. Give it a whirl, man. In that situation, I'm not that big a fan of it because that is something he's never done before. But to think that he can't is crazy to me. The fact that he's never done it is crazy to me. Maybe he's in the cage today, laying down some bunts. Maybe he's in the cage today. As for your boy, Nick Castellanos, I want to make sure I get this to you for the people that are flipping out about the idea of him swinging at the first pitch again. He's hit 5 home runs this season, swinging at the first pitch, and now he's hitting 320, swinging at the first pitch. Still not ideal, but if you're thinking fastball and you're guessing fastball and you get a fastball, you better hit that fastball. And he did not hit that fastball. And also on top of that, run really hard, run like the wind. My man, Joe Paragola yesterday on Twitter, just a gentleman that I know, big cigar guy. Hit me up just saying, maybe too many buttons are unbuttoned for JT or for Nick Castellanos to bust down the first baseline fast enough. It's not exactly wind resistant when you got the buttons going. Huh? I'm all for the plunging neckline. You guys know that. The Nick Castellanos. Come on. All right. So are you, do you feel like you're in the 7th layer of hell right now with the Phillies? Because I feel like I'm in the 7th layer of hell right now with the Phillies. I wish this was something that would make us feel better. Today, Aaron Nola's supposed to get the ball for the Phils. I know we're all just tickled pink about that. Isn't that great? I know. We're all happy. We're not happy. I'm not happy. You're not happy. Nobody's happy. This is terrible. Let's move it on to your beloved Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not one to turn the page quickly for baseball season to football season, but after a game like that, I'm ready. So last night, or yesterday, I should say, Sean Desai addressed the media. He's really got it down pat. He's going to be a really good head coach at because they say nothing. He's going to be a really good head coach one day because he says absolutely nothing in a press conference, which is good, except for his introductory press conference where he said the word palpable. I want to be palpable with this team to be palpable. Brian Johnson, everything's good. Brian Johnson, no problem. Even though if you were to give a pass-fail grade to either coordinator after 1 week, by far Brian Johnson fail. By far, Sean Desai pass. I don't think Sean Desai is going to have to do much in this Vikings game. And I know that sounds crazy because you did such a wonderful job last year against Justin Jefferson with Darius Slay. You're still having issues, obviously, with James Bradbury in concussion protocol. He'll most likely miss this game. Kenny Gainwell was not on the injured list yesterday. It was not on the injury report yesterday, so that's good. Fletcher Cox got upgraded from did not practice to limited participant, so it's a possibility that he does go yesterday. This was the injury report yesterday. The only difference today was that, or the one that came out yesterday, was Kenny Gainwell was no longer on there. But Nakobe Dean, obviously, he has been IR'd, so he was taken off. Fletcher Cox, ribs, but he was upgraded to limited. James Bradbury still did not practice, and Reed Blankenship still did not practice. So still a lot of questions as far as who's going to be healthy enough to go in this game. When it comes to everything else, I do have a concern about the offense. It's not a overwhelming concern, but you have a new play caller on this offense, and if you can't find a rhythm, then there's going to be trouble. I got all the confidence in the world in Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert, and they're going to get on the same page. We talked yesterday about how Devontae Smith didn't get a catch in his first game as a pro, and that was against his first game last year against the Lions. Excuse me, not his first game as a pro. So I can understand cause for concern when it comes to the coordinator position trying to get it. Like, I still think bottom line, this offense will be able to find a way to win games. Like, I don't have a doubt in that. I think there's a very similar offense than what you saw last year. But if you got to get through growing pains as an offensive coordinator first and a play caller above all else, that's the bigger issue here. Being the offensive coordinator to me isn't nearly as big a deal as being the play caller. Offensive coordinator with an offensive head coach who would be the play caller, that takes a lot off your plate, as we all know. But for me, the fact that you've never done it at the NFL level, and then your play calling left a lot to be desired against the Patriots, and I understand it's against Bill Belichick, and it was like a chess match, Belichick versus Johnson, and you needed to find out, what you needed to learn a lot about yourself on that particular day. So Brian Johnson talked about that yesterday, the learning process and how he feels comfortable and everything's great and no worries. The bottom line is this offense is going to be good enough to score points by accident. They certainly didn't look like that in week 1 against the Patriots, but I believe as the season goes on, and yes, they get out of a rut, and yes, they knock off the rust, then they will definitely show you the team that they truly are, which is the team you saw last year. So yesterday, Jalen Hurts is addressing the media. Got asked the question point blank about the struggles of week 1 and whether or not it had anything to do with not playing in the preseason and it being, 5 months in between NFL action. Here's Jalen Hurts on shaking off any potential rust.
Facing live action, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't think there was an adjustment period there. That we prepared really well and obviously put a lot of time into it, and I think for us, we just continue to grow through that. We continue to grow. We all have standards. I have standards and they're very high. But I think the reality for it is, I've never reported to the standards of other people, the expectations of other people or the opinions. And so we're centrally focused on the things that we can control, our preparation in that, and, just moving forward and continue to strive to be the best team we can be. And obviously every individual being the best, player they can be for the team. And so that's the MO.
Appreciate the guy's attitude, as you guys well know. I love him as a philosopher. Right? I love him as a quarterback, but I also love him as a philosopher. That's the only attitude you can have as a quarterback of any football team, not just the Eagles, but any football team. That's the only attitude you can have. Listening to him talk throughout the press conference yesterday, we talk a lot about this when it comes to managers, when it comes to coaches, that they just kind of always remain even keel. That first game, there are people out there talking about whether or not he has what it takes in the passing game. And I even said before the season, for Jalen Hurts to get more national recognition, for him to really get more respect, outside of players voting him as the 3rd best player in the NFL, but for him to really be up there with, and some people don't have him up there, with Mahomes, with a 100% healthy Joe Burrow, with Josh Allen, wah, wah, with Aaron Rodgers, wah, wah. People don't have him up there with those guys because he's a quarterback who runs. You can't have him be the number 1 running quarterback in the NFL, rushing quarterback, I should say. You shouldn't have him be a top 3 rushing quarterback in the NFL. If that's part of his game, if that's him, as they said in the preseason, and they said in training camp, if that's him embracing the uniqueness of his game, and Nick Sirianni as a game planner and Brian Johnson as a play caller, embracing the uniqueness of Jalen Hurts' game, then you're wasting a talent of his. But if there is on this Eagles team a greater intent, a bigger intent for him to go out there and throw the football, I don't really think that week 1 against the Patriots is exactly a great barometer for measuring how well he's going to do in the passing game this year. I know Jalen Hurts can throw the ball. I know Jalen Hurts can read a defense. Its question is whether or not your checkdowns during those plays are the right checkdowns to make, the audibles are the right audibles to make. It's a question of whether or not you have game planned properly for the New England Patriots, if the Patriots are giving them anything you haven't seen before, what they're doing to take away Dallas Goedert, for instance, yesterday. It comes down to a lot of things, of course. But I have every ounce of confidence that Jalen Hurts is going to be just fine and dandy if the Eagles decide to have him throw the football even more so than last year. 33 passes on Sunday. That's a good amount. It's a good amount. It's a fair amount for Jalen Hurts. Was he off his game? Absolutely. Was the offense as a whole off the game? Absolutely. Now you're going to face a Minnesota Vikings team that I don't necessarily put there in the fear category. The number one thing, and I'll get into this more tomorrow when I get into the 5 things regarding the Eagles' opponent, 5 things in this case about the Minnesota Vikings. But the number one thing is Sean Desai. It's easier said than done to just contain Justin Jefferson. We saw the Eagles do that last year. We saw Darius Slay have his way with Justin Jefferson. So it kind of, they already got that figured out, so they're good. I mean, every game presents a new challenge, as everybody knows. The safety position is going to get tested. We all know that. Right now, one of your safeties is banged up, and Reed Blankenship, what can he bring to the table with the injured ribs? What can Justin Evans do? What can Sidney Brown do? It's going to be a lot of questions out there. Terrell Edmonds, that's going to be a question as well. It's not just going to be about the corners containing Justin Jefferson. It's about the safeties playing traditional safety roles and kind of being the deepest man on the field. So all those questions got to come out. But the saving grace here, and it's not just the coverage, it's the amount of time that you're going to be covering a guy like Justin Jefferson. It comes down to that defensive line. I told you guys the number one thing that jumped out to me regarding the Eagles week 1 was Jalen Carter. Above all else, that man's going to be a problem. He was getting through the line of scrimmage, breaking through men, not college boys, men, with regularity. And now you're going to have an opportunity for him to do that against this Vikings offensive line. I welcome it with open arms. I welcome that challenge with open arms because the Vikings offensive line last week against the Bucs struggled mightily. It's been a punchline in NFL circles over the last week. Jalen Carter is going to be going up against that offensive line. Fletcher Cox, I am convinced he's going to play now. I'm looking forward to seeing him play. You obviously have Jordan Davis, who looks like he is ready to go. I asked about a jump before this season with Jordan Davis. Obviously, it's not just the fumble. It's getting pressure. It's showing quickness off the line and try to make tackles going down the line of scrimmage. He looks like a different player. I want to see that now throughout the rest of the season. I feel like we're going to see that with Jalen Carter. I feel like we're going to see it with Jordan Davis. So you're talking about the idea of blitzing against a guy like Kirk Cousins. Yes, he's very accurate. Yes, he gets rid of the ball quickly. The Eagles are going to have an opportunity here to really put a damper on the start of the season for the Minnesota Vikings. If you remember last year, they had that great start. Their only loss was to the Eagles. Now they already have a loss. They're going to be hungry. They're going to be prepared. They're going to be focused and all that stuff. The shame of it is for the Vikings, they're just not going to be good enough. That's the shame of it. And the number one reason they're not going to be good enough, the reason I am going to pick the Eagles, and I'll give you the official score tomorrow, the reason I am picking the Eagles to go through this game and win is mainly because of their offensive line. I'd love to see the Eagles go out there and put up 41 points offensively. I'd love for Jalen Carter to get 2 sacks. I'd love for Hassan Reddick to get in on the action, get his first sack of the season. I'd love for all that Nolan Smith to get out there and make things happen. Love to see it. I would love to see it. But I don't think it's going to be like that. I still think there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve here with this offense before they really hit their stride. I don't think we're going to see a 40-point performance. As much comfort as that would give me, I just don't think we're going to see it. But I can't wait to see what this defensive line is. This game is going to remind me of what your coach told you when you were a kid. And it's like, when your offense is struggling, defense is always there. Defense is about hustle. That kind of thing. It's easier to play defense, right? I feel like this is supposed to be easier, to play defense. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but with Jalen Carter on this defensive line, I just expect great things in this game. And I know some people didn't see the sack numbers they wanted to. I know they saw a sack, so that's good. But when you saw how many times he was causing problems in the backfield, I think some people wanted to see 3 sacks from him, and I just didn't think that was realistic. It's not like the quarterback's trying. It's not like the quarterback watching the defensive line and breaks through the line of scrimmage and goes, all right, well, you got me. No, you got to still bring him down. You got to finish the play, as Nolan Smith said. But when it comes to Jalen Carter, I feel like this is going to be a game where he's going to really catch some attention from around the league. I think everyone already knows how much of a problem he is going to be. And I think I saw one of the articles that came out after the game. It's just like even more reason to think that the NFL is just dumb for allowing Jalen Carter to go to Howie Roseman to the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL draft. And yeah, I think that's something I would subscribe to. That's something I would absolutely subscribe to. And by the way, this is all coming from an area of respect for the Vikings, by the way. I actually like Kirk Cousins. I just don't like him in this game. I don't like his team against my squad in this particular game. But going back to last week's loss that the Minnesota Vikings took to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it was a 20-17 loss. And in that game, Kirk Cousins was under pressure a lot. If you had him start for you on fantasy, I'm sure you were just fine. He was only sacked 3 times, but it seemed like he was under duress throughout that game. And he still had a very Kirk Cousins-like performance, 344 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked twice, quarterback rating over 100, and QBR, quarterback rating, 54.9, passer rating, 102.8. And Justin Jefferson certainly 8 in that game, 150 yards, 9 catches. 9 catches. Hunter Henry was the first tight end of the season, and I'm sure it'll be the first tight end of many to hurt the Eagles. TJ Hawkinson, has an opportunity to do it. His opportunity to be the thorn in the Eagles' side for this matchup. Excuse me. All right. Let me tell you about the great people at MyBookie, ladies and gentlemen. MyBookie. Make sure you check them out. As a bettor, you demand perfection. And MyBookie delivers. NFL, college football, brand new cash out system gives you options to bet and win all season long. First 2 legs of your parlay they hit, you can cash out early and place another bet. Or let it ride for a chance at a bigger payday. Join MyBookie family. Join the MyBookie family for an entire season filled with daily odds boosts, same-game parlays, and super contests. This season, MyBookie has no strings attached when it comes to cash bonus that lets you deposit and withdraw quick. Use promo code FARZY. That's promo code FARZY on and deposit $50 or more, and you can receive up to $200 in cash instantly for your MyBookie account. Bet your deposit amount once, and you're ready to withdraw anytime. And again, that's promo code FARZY to claim your cash deposit bonus. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. So bet your deposit amount once, and you're ready to withdraw it at any time. Again, that's promo code FARZY to claim your cash deposit bonus. You can bet anytime, anywhere, anything. It's great. MyBookie, only at MyBookie. Let's get to the chat check and see how you wonderful people are feeling about yesterday's Phillies game. Let's see how you guys are feeling about this upcoming game coming up against the Minnesota Vikings. April, good morning. Nice to see you. Frustrating game? Absolutely. T-Bro, are we tape difficulties? No, that was technical difficulties on my end. Everything needed to be rebooted. Literally sat down in the seat, and it was 5 minutes of, why isn't this working? And then I just had to pull the plug and say, all right, got to reboot, bite the bullet. And then it takes a minute for everything to fire up and all that fun stuff. So my apologies. Sean Kilrain, why didn't JT remove to sacrifice bunt in that situation? Thompson post-game comments, ridiculous. You agree, Farzy? I agree, but it's like that's a Rob Thompson. Like even I don't get it, man. Like, is bunting one of those things that just nobody wants to do at the office? Like I always try to relate it to the everyday man and the man or woman. Like every day, I look at it and I go, well, this, they're not doing like put yourself in a ball player's shoes. And I know the money, amazing, okay, but even past that, the human element of it all is what applies universally. They're still humans; they're not superheroes. So, like, is bunting at practice the same thing as like Gabe Kapler talking about the curveball machine? Yeah, maybe we're gonna get a curveball machine. And then Bryce Harper being like, we're not getting, that's adorable. We're not getting a curveball. Like, I know we want to look at athletes and go, whatever it takes to win, all of them, right? Well, I think everyone in the workplace wants to look at themselves or their coworkers and go, whatever it takes to have a better day, whatever it takes to increase profit. I don't know. But is it like getting coffee? Do you feel like if you're practicing sacrifice bunting in spring training, is it like someone at the last minute be like, oh, you're going out for coffee? Could you grab me? Oh, God, come on, this guy? I don't know. I don't know how to relate it, but I do think it's relatable because of the human nature of it. Do people just not want to do it? Because that would have been a perfect situation for JT Realmuto to lay down a bunt. Now, look, JT Realmuto gets a hit, and nobody's talking about it. But, yes, by the grand book of baseball, you bunt in that situation. Good God, man. Good God. And, Rob Thompson's attitude, as you saw, was just, I wasn't going to ask somebody to do something he's never done. And I'm flat out honest with you guys. If you ask me, generally speaking, hey, Mark, walking down the street, hey, Mark, if you have a runner on first and second with nobody out in baseball, what should the batter do? And I'd be like, well, lay down a bunt. Just get him over there to take away the double play. Okay, thanks. So that'll be a fun conversation. But then you tell me it's JT Realmuto. All right, now let me change things up. The batter is JT Realmuto. I'd be like, pinch hit Garrett Stubbs? No. I'd probably say like, oh, yeah, he's probably going to swing away. It didn't even occur to me while it was happening yesterday. Didn't even occur to me. Because it was JT. But, yeah, I agree. Grand Book of Baseball? Bunt. April, I was one of the same thing. A bunt would have made such a difference. I agree. But then the other thing is, if he's never bunted and then he can't get down a bunt, I think everyone says the other thing. Everyone goes the other way with it. Everyone's like, why would you have JT Realmuto? When's the last time JT Realmuto bunted? But the fact that he struck out on 3 pitches kind of, well, shoot him. It's the Nick Castellanos thing. He's got 5 home runs now on the first pitch. Like I said earlier, he's been, 320, 330 with the first pitch. And he hits a home run on the first pitch in the 4th inning of the game yesterday, whatever the hell it was, second inning. Goes up 1-0. No one's got a problem with that. People start arguing the result above all else. So I didn't have a problem with those two things per se. April, with the way he's been hitting at home. And see, I agree. If you're having that kind of problem, if you're having that kind of a struggle at home, then you should be in the cages before the game, working on everything. Like, I don't want to make another out, so at least I want to be able to make a productive out. Lay down a bunt. Sean Kilroy, JT Realmuto is poop emoji at home. Don't get it. I don't get it either. Perhaps we need to give him a standing ovation. April, I know I asked this yesterday during the post-game show, and I know I threw it out there on Twitter a while ago. Who would win in a foot race? All right, let me use this analogy that I used on post-game last night. Here's what I did on Fightins post-game, right? Here's the analogy. If you had just been bitten by a snake, a venomous, poisonous snake, all right, and Pat Burrell was a mile away from you in his prime, and Nick Castellanos was a mile away from you, and they both had the antidote. Who do you want running the antidote to you? Who gets there fast? If you can only pick one to run, who's running? I'm going with after last night, I'm going with Pat Burrell. Mally, what's going on? Guys, people, smoke him if you got him. Mally, I wish I could smoke him right now. Ray Fitzgerald, Atlanta has an edge with their bullpen this year, a better contact hitting team. I mean, Ray, I think Atlanta is just running circles around the Phillies. Contact, power, pitching. I mean, there's a reason now the Phillies are, 15 games out of first place? My buddy Mike Mulhern of NBC put it out there the other day when the Phillies were really going through a run. And said something along the lines of, every time the Phillies go on a run, I'll check the standings and see if they made up any ground on Atlanta. It's like, nope, down 15 games. Yep, that's how it feels right now. Not that the Phillies are going on a run. Sean Kilray really had trouble finding the strike zone. These home plate umpires are all over the place. So Zuna needs to get plunked. I can't stand it. I was so happy that what's his name? Chisholm for the Marlins did not get a home run in that series because I want to punch him in the face when he celebrates around the bases the way he does. It's like, okay, I get you're excited. Then yesterday, Acuna, Ozuna, They all did the same thing. That little birdie, bull, whatever the hell that was. Mihai Sanchez. This is the Farzy Show YouTube channel, by the way, that I'm on. Mihai Sanchez. Why September Phillies always have to play so bad? I don't get it. I wish. Mullen Alvarado. That is a dad joke and a half. But guess what? I'm a dad, and I love jokes. Mullen Alvarado. JT, say it ain't real, Muto. Ba-da-bum. These are the jokes, folks. Yeah, it's very real. Ray Fitzgerald. Wait, hold on. Baseball has changed. I love anything that starts out with baseball has changed. Baseball has changed. You don't see the bunt. You don't see a hit and run. You don't see a hit behind the runner. Teams don't work at it. And it comes down to coaching. Treat the players like little leaguers. Oh, you're making a declarative statement. Treat the players like little leaguers. Sometimes you have to. I don't get it. I don't get it. I thought it would be more likely for Garrett Stubbs to pinch hit for JT Realmuto than for there you go, for JT Realmuto to lay down a bunt himself. And they didn't do either. Bullpen is going to make me go live on K&A. Thank you, Mally. April, Mally, this bullpen is poop emoji. Sean Kilray, definitely need to address this next season. You guys are great today in the chat. This is fantastic. Here's a couple of things. Sorry, now I'm reading Jacob Sports. Let me comment on this. Wait, no, let me finish the thought. Farzetta, stop your Family Guy brain for a second here. The bullpen last night, I thought was actually all right. Obviously, you can't allow your starting pitcher to give up 6 runs, especially in a time where you want to be an ace. You want to see your starting pitching do a lot better than what you saw yesterday. So I can't focus on the bullpen yesterday. That was a starting pitcher issue as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to jump it over to Jacob for a second here because there's some good stuff here. CECC Vet, what's going on? Eagles are down Bradbury too. Kind of worried. Not going to lie. I am worried as well. Jordan Addison. No joke. And they have TJ Hawkinson versus Blankenship or Bradbury on the back end. Game will be closer than we think. They got to get rid of the ball quickly. They know they got to get rid of the ball quickly. The Patriots got rid of the ball quickly, and that's where I only saw 2 sacks in a game that had, 11 pressures, 10 pressures? 6 were just from Jalen Carter. So, yeah, they're obviously going to try to work around that. But my biggest thing isn't going to be the defense. My biggest thing is going to be the offense. And my biggest focus, my biggest concern is outscoring the Vikings. I do think you're going to get pressure. I do think you're going to get a 3-sack game on Kirk Cousins. I think you're going to win a lot of battles in that regard. But I also think Kirk Cousins is going to win a lot of battles in terms of just getting rid of the football. And there's going to be dump-offs to Hawkinson. There are going to be dump-offs to Addison. They're going to have success as an offense. Justin Jefferson, I think, is going to have a much better game than what the 34 yards he had against the Eagles last year. So I think that's going to be a difference. That's going to be a big difference. Philly born and raised. I still think if Rhys Hoskins was in the lineup, this division race would be a lot closer. It's possible. But if Rhys Hoskins, at this point, if Rhys Hoskins was in the lineup, true, if you had him for what it would have been the first 3 months of the season, Bryce Harper was the DH, missed the first month, came back, was designated hitter, and then started playing first base right around that All-Star break. Right after the All-Star break against the Pirates. At this point, you would have Reese at first. You'd have Harper as your DH, and you'd have Kyle Schwarber and left even more. I thought about that last night, too. Thank you, Philly born and raised. Appreciate it. Spin it over to the Farzy Show YouTube channel again. A professional baseball player has never bunted. Apparently, Sean Gillespie. A professional. Yep, apparently. Thank you for that clarification, April. I know I said poisonous, venomous. Yeah. There's no venom. There's no venom that just gives you superpowers. No, that if you get bit by a spider, you turn into a Spider-Man. No. Anyway, both starting lineups had combined 152 home runs. Oh, what, the Phils? Oh, you're saying the difference. I'm sorry, Ray. Okay, you're saying the difference. Power and, hit for contact. They can certainly do that. The Braves over the Phillies. Wow. April, I just missed one of your best lines ever. Practice bunting equals that meeting could have been an email. Sean Kilroy, Slay and every player is talking about trash turf. They need to address it. It's bad. Nothing worse than that. Oh, good God. Ray Fitzgerald, Dallas and Niners defense is looking strong. Yes, they do look strong. I agree with you on that. A bunt still would have been better than whiffing on 3 strikes. April, I concur. I know. Sean Kelly. Kid came home, told me that one day, mind blown. Wait, what? Anyway, thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. Phillies, back at it tonight. 6:40 start time. Phillies take on the Braves. It's the 4th to last time they'll see the Braves this year. Aaron Nola will get the ball, hoping to get the Phillies' 80th win of the season. They're 79-66. Excuse me, Christopher Sanchez today. Christopher Sanchez gets the ball against Spencer Strider. If you're looking for optimism, if you're looking for hope, Spencer Strider has given up 10 runs in his last 2 starts. All those runs have been earned. He's given up 5 walks. It was against the Dodgers and against the St. Louis Cardinals. He went just 2 2/3 against the St. Louis Cardinals in his last time out, allowing 6 runs. Previous to that, he allowed 4, going 6 innings against the Dodgers. So this, of course, means, 7 scoreless against the Phillies today? I think that's what that means. Last time Spencer Strider faced the Phils, it was back on June 20th. He went 6 innings, allowing 1 run on 8 hits and struck out 9 in a 4-2 Braves win. Prior to that, 6 innings, 2 runs in an 11-4 win over the Phillies back on May 28th. I don't know. Spencer Strider overall in the season, 16-5 with a 3.83 ERA. Certainly knows this Phillies lineup. And that makes me uncomfortable. Christopher Sanchez did what he always does in his last start. 5 innings, 5 scoreless, gave the Phillies a chance to win, pretty much what he does every single game. He'll be going up against the Braves in this one, obviously. So far this season, he has not faced the Braves, so this will be his first go of it against Spencer Strider tonight. Like I said, 6:40 start time. Phillies and Braves get things underway as they wrap up their last series of the season at Citizens Bank Park. Everything else we shall see. Yeah, Philly's going to win today. They get a split of this series. And if I tell you they at least split with the Braves, and then they go on and they handle their business against the Cardinals in St. Louis, and then they go on after the Braves series. So I'm skipping over the Braves series in Atlanta. They got the Mets at home for 4. They got the Pirates at home for 3. And then they wrap up the season in New York against the Mets. So split today. And I'll feel a lot better about the rest of the season. But yeah, Sanchez gets the ball today. Nola gets the ball tomorrow. Excuse me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are great. As per usual, this is the Farzy Show. Make sure you guys hit subscribe on the Farzy Show YouTube channel as well as the Jacob Media YouTube channel as well. Jim Hyde approves program, did a wonderful job as per usual. I'll be back with you guys tonight following the Phillies and Braves final game of this 4-game set in South Philly. See you guys then. Bye.